Hello world, Shelly here, and it is time for your Friday Foundation Fix, where you can get your fix of foundation reviews in between foundation fests. And today we're going to head back to the drugstore pricing, and I am going to check out the new release from BH Cosmetics. This is the BH Liquid Foundation Naturally Flawless. Now, they recently reformulated their foundation. This is what their older foundation looked like, and the reformulation was to include hyaluronic acid, which is a great skincare ingredient, helps to improve the skin's moisture, and can make you look younger. It's a great anti-aging ingredient. Now, if you inspect the ingredient list, of course, you're going to see that hyaluronic acid is like way down at the bottom of the list. So, I mean, is this going to replace your skincare? Absolutely not. But I am never opposed to having great skincare ingredients in my cosmetics. I just will never complain about that. So that's a good move on the reformulation if you ask me. I'm on the BH Cosmetics website right now, and let's take a look at some of the information about this product. So it comes in 18 different shades, which is pretty good for a drugstore level release, especially since this is a fresh new release. It came out about a month ago. It retails for $8.99, but if you follow the BH Cosmetics website, you will find they have sales all the time. As I'm filming this, they've got 40% off, which makes this $5.39. Great drugstore level pricing. The description is you get skin pampering benefits and a radiant complexion with the new and improved BH Liquid Foundation. Reformulated with the addition of hyaluronic acid, it helps skin stay hydrated and younger looking. This foundation provides lightweight, medium to full coverage, and a natural satin finish. Perfect match. It is vegan, it is cruelty-free, it is dermatologist tested. So those are good things. I love me some good vegan cruelty-freeness. Now, I inspected the ingredients on this, and I did find that this is not an oil-free foundation. However, the oil that is in this is mineral oil. Now, this is a polarizing ingredient. The mineral oil, of course, is related to petroleum in the way it is processed. Is it the same as putting petroleum on your face? Absolutely not. Now, if you dig deeper into the science behind mineral oil in cosmetics, it's a very, very, very common oil to use in cosmetics because it does not oxidize, it is odor-free, it is color-free, it's an easy product to include. The benefits of having mineral oil in your skincare routine, it hugely helps moisture retention in your skin, to the extent that some people say that it helps too much, and if you don't have dry skin, you might end up having your skin be too moist by the end of the day. Now, we'll see if that applies. I have incredibly dry skin. We are dealing with a 42-year-old face here that has some sunspots and some sun exposure, some fine lines starting to form, and I have exceptionally dry skin, and the weather has turned cold and dry here in Virginia this past week, so I am very dry right now, and I don't think it's possible for me to over moisturize. So in my world, mineral oil is not a bad thing. And in terms of the research behind it, the European Food and Safety Association, they agree that it is safe, and Europe has far more strict and progressive laws regarding ingredients in food and cosmetics and things versus the US, which is basically paid off by lobbyists. So if the Europeans say it's good, it's okay, it's safe, it's non-toxic, I'm going with them. So I am not opposed to mineral oil. Why do I sound so weird when I say that? Mineral oil. I'm not opposed to having mineral oil in my cosmetics. If you are opposed or have a sensitivity to it, it's very unlikely to cause allergic reactions. But if you do have an opposition to it, I would avoid this one because it does have mineral oil in it. But I'm going to go with it because mineral oil sounds great to me. I'm going to stop saying mineral oil because I feel like I can't say it right. So this product comes in 18 shades. I've got it in shade 204 Natural Beige, I believe it is, yes. And the previous foundation, I will swatch it as well just so you can kind of see the color match. I have this in light rose in the older formula. And let's just take a look at some swatches and compare this to some other drugstore priced foundations at the pale end of the spectrum in my collection. Alright, first up, today's foundation is the BH Liquid Foundation Naturally Flawless in shade Natural Beige. Second, this is from the previous BH Cosmetics Liquid Foundation formula. That's in light rose. Ha ha ha, that's not light anything. Third up, I've got the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow in shade 201. Fourth is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation in Shell Ivory. And last up, I've got the Milani Conceal and Perfect in shade 00A. I have already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened my face. I have also primed with the e.l.f. Beauty Shield SPF Primer. I love this stuff. It does a great job at blurring my pores, which is mucho... Why is there a cat? Get down. I have already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened my face. I have primed with the e.l.f. Beauty Shield SPF Primer. I love this stuff. It does a great job of blurring my larger pores on my cheeks, and it has made some of my foundations that I had trouble with last quite a bit longer. So I'm thoroughly enjoying the e.l.f. Beauty Shield Primer. I'm going to go in on one half of my face with a sponge. This is the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. On the other side, I will use the new Real Techniques Blend and Blur Foundation Brush. We'll see if there's a preference there, if one does better than the other. Packaging, we've got a plastic cap, glorious pump, love foundations with a pump, very nice glass bottle, so this does not feel cheap. It's a pretty frosted glass. It's going to look nice on your vanity and keep your product nice and hygienic. Wow, that's thick. This is a little bit hard to blend out. I think the moisture of the damp sponge is helping it a little bit. I would say we are getting pretty light coverage with the sponge on one pass. This is super tacky. Really hard to move around with a brush. Holy tamale. Oh my goodness. Slightly better coverage, I think, with the brush if you can get it to move around your face. I would say with a brush, we are still sort of light medium coverage. I can see my freckles poking through. And, you know, the finish looks nice once you get it moved around, but boy, is it tacky and hard to blend out. Let's see if we can get this to build a bit, since they do claim medium to full coverage. I think the strategy might be first just get it spread around your face and then blend. I think we may also have one of those situations where it's just nice to use both. Apply with the brush, get your coverage, and then just sort of blend out and even everything out with a sponge. At 2 coats, I would say we are at medium coverage. I can still see all my sunspots just poking through just a little bit. I'm not super thrilled about the way it's covering. I feel like I still have redness poking through, and I've gone in and spot covered spots on my nose and around my nostrils, and I still feel like there's some redness poking through there. It is not settling into the lines of my smile lines or my forehead lines. The finish is definitely a satin finish. There is some sort of dewiness to it. It's not overly dewy, but there is that sort of healthy reflective look on the skin. I would say it's doing a nice job at blurring texture on my cheeks, but it is not really blurring my pores. It's not accentuating them, it's not settling into them, but it is not blurring them to any great extent. It does still feel a little bit tacky, a little bit heavy, you know, average to slightly heavy. It is 12:06 p.m. We will call the check-in time noon, and I will be right back with my face on. Okay, we are back. Holy cow, this look got colorful fast, but I love it, but not the foundation so much. At a distance, the foundation looks fine. As it's set down, it did start settling into all of my lines. I've been tapping them out ever since. It stayed pretty tacky, so I did end up setting it very lightly with the Laura Geller Balance and Brighten Foundation Powder in Porcelain, and that did help. It took a little of the sheen away from that satin finish, but it did help the tackiness. In terms of blending, the problem I'm having is that every product I applied on top of this foundation seemed to be moving the foundation underneath it. So like my blush, I can almost see like patches of skin where my blush is, because as I applied my blush, the foundation went away. And as you can see, I don't go very heavy-handed on the blush, so there wasn't a lot of brush strokes that was moving the foundation around. So that did not make me confident in the wear of this foundation, but at a glance it looks nice. The other thing that I'm noticing is that it's really just kind of sitting on top of the skin a little bit strangely in certain spots. Powdering it helped that, but I think it was because that Laura Geller powder has some coverage to it and it was kind of covering up the spots that looked strange. So it's sitting a little strangely, it feels a little bit heavy. It's moving around a little bit with the rest of my products, but at a conversational distance, I think it looks nice. I think the color match is good. We'll see if it oxidizes. We will see if it continues to move around. We'll see if it's uncomfortable by the end of the night. Basically, I will come back in a few hours with a daylight check-in, and then I will be back at the end of the evening to give you my final thoughts. Now, everything else that's on my face, I'm wearing the Kat Von D Shade and Light? No. The Kat Von D Saint and Sinner eyeshadow palette is what's going on the eyeballs. L'Oreal Glam Bronze. My blush is Tarte in Exposed. Highlight is Wet n Wild. I think it's called Blossom Petal. And lip is the Sephora Cream Lip Stain in shade number 33. I am enjoying these. They remind me a whole lot of the Ofra liquid lipsticks. They have a mild sort of chocolatey kind of a scent. They last they're very long wear until you eat. So they don't last through a meal. They basically come completely off when you eat a meal, but they stay put otherwise. And they tolerate drinking pretty well. I drink through a water bottle spout kind of thing, and they tolerate that okay. You'd still need to touch up if you're drinking a whole lot, but they tolerate talking pretty well, and they stay in place. They don't bleed, they don't feather. I'm really liking this formula. Thank you, Raina, for the recommendation, and that's where we're at. So I'll be back in a little bit with a daylight check-in, and let's keep our fingers crossed. Doggone it, it gets dark so early that I missed my opportunity to film the daylight check-in. So how about an office light check-in? I have not had a close-up look at the foundation yet to really see how it's doing. I can tell it is still sort of satin finish, and color match is a little bit dark, just a little bit I think, but yeah, there you have it. Here's how it looks in office light in my messy office. I will be back later tonight. Alrighty, I'm back. It is 11:08 p.m. So we are just past the 11-hour mark with the BH Cosmetics Foundation, and how did it do? I will say, in terms of comfort level, it's a little bit heavy. Even after I set it with a powder, it's a little bit tacky. Like, it wasn't excessive, but I did have the sort of, fuzzy stuck on my face throughout the day, and that's just a disconcerting, frustrating feeling. And in terms of the overall level of moisture or not, I don't think this is a drying foundation, but I don't think it's hydrating either. My skin does feel a little bit dry at this point, but again, we are at, the 11-hour mark of having makeup on my face, and I have dry skin anyway. So the dryness is very likely just my natural dryness at the end of the day, because I don't feel like my crow's feet are being accentuated or anything, and that's what really happens when my face gets really, really dehydrated. So I think if you've got dry skin, this is fine. I think if you've even got normal, possibly even oily skin, because this isn't a super dewy foundation, it's just a satin foundation, and it didn't get really dewy throughout the day. Of course, I don't produce any body oil, so you're not going to see that happening here on this face. But I think if you have dry skin, it's okay. In terms of the settling into lines, once I set it with the powder, for the most part, the settling stopped. So that didn't get any worse, but it was quite frustrating up front. And if you have skin that is too dry to set with a powder, then I think you're going to have all kinds of problems with settling into fine lines in terms of maturing skin. So as we get in up close, if we take a look at my chin, it is definitely definitely wearing off on my chin and along my sort of lower chin mouth wrinkles. It's kind of caking up and breaking up around there. It did settle into my chin lines a bit. Around my nose, it's wearing off around my nostrils and on my nose in general. I'm starting to get polka dot pores. My cheeks still look okay. I don't think my pores are being accentuated. I think texture is still being smoothed and everything looks okay. My bronzer, blush, highlights still seem to be in place. So my cheeks look fine. Moving up, it is breaking down in between my eyebrows, and my forehead looks okay with the exception of the mild settling into lines that's going on there. So this is pretty much the typical foundation breakdown, especially these are the areas that break down on me. And considering we're at this point in the day, you know, again, from a distance, this feels like a foundation that looks decently good, even at this point of the night. You know, the only thing that really bothers me about the look of the foundation, even at a conversational distance, is the fact that it kind of sits on top of the skin. Like you can see in different patches how it just kind of sits on top. It's not one continuous blur. It's not blending into the skin. It's just like you'll see product that just looks like it's sitting there. And you know, clearly from the makeup looks I do, I'm not trying to go for a natural look, but I also don't want to look like I'm wearing a mask. You know, I don't want to look like I've got faulty, you know, product all over my face. I want my face to look nice, even if it's clear that I'm wearing makeup. So I'm not super enthused with the overall look of this foundation. If I had to give the BH Cosmetics Naturally Flawless Liquid Foundation a grade, I'm going to go C-. On the upside, it's a very reasonably priced foundation. As I'm talking, my face is actually starting to get itchy, which could just be, it's getting to be winter, but itchy face is usually a bad thing. It usually means I'm getting dry. I just don't like really how this foundation applies or really how it looks. I think the best features of it didn't come out until I powdered it, and I think some of that is the powder taking credit for doing the things that made it look decently good. Now, at this price point, I think it's worth a try because everybody's body chemistry is different. Everybody's skin types are different. Foundations are going to work differently on different people. So the fact that I think maturing skin can get away with this if you set it with a powder, and dry skin can get away with this, I think it's worth, I keep hitting my lamp. I think it's worth trying out. I'm not going to reach for it all that often. I think what I'm probably going to do with this is try mixing it in with different things and see if it can be, you know, used to help out the shade of other foundations, because even at my daylight check-in, I thought this was a little too dark for me. As I'm looking at it evening time, I do think it's a pretty good color match. If I, with my sweater off, when you can kind of see all of the rest of my skin color, I think it is a pretty good color match for me. So I'm going to give it props for the color match. It's got a decent shade range at 18 different shades. So a C- doesn't mean don't try it. C- means it's like average with some cons, and nothing really wowed me about it, but it's totally wearable. That is what I would call this. So there you have it, my thoughts on the BH Cosmetics Naturally Flawless Foundation. If you would like to see more foundation reviews, please feel free to leave me a comment with what foundations you would like to see me review. You could always search on my channel, Geek Out of Water, and the name of the foundation, see if I've reviewed it before. I've got 50 plus reviews on my channel at this point. In the down bar below, you can find a playlist that has all of them in one place, and that's what we got. Please give me a thumbs up down below if you like this and want to see more foundation reviews. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I put videos up 3 days a week, and thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.